Hey everyone. Now that the holidays have passed and there isn't much going on in the parks, we figured we would make a quick video looking back at my and Jen's top 5 favorite things that happened in 2024. Then we're going to take a look ahead at the fun that awaits us in theme parks in 2025. So much happened this past year and so much will be happening next year that it was difficult to narrow it down to just 5, but here's what we came up with. We'll be bouncing back and forth in this video, looking at each of our favorite happenings from this past year, beginning with Jen. Her number 5 on the list is something that we didn't film for the channel, but it was a first-time experience for both of us, and that is riding in the front row on Velocicoaster. We had ridden the coaster on a couple of different visits to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure in the past, but this year was the first time that we had asked for the front row, and it was worth the extra wait. The views were so much better, both of the park and of the velociraptors that you zoom by, and the feeling of looking down that top hat from the front is incredible. Kicking off my personal top 5 of 2024 is an event that just happened recently. The behind-the-scenes look at the upcoming coaster, The Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Although we had to keep our distance due to it being an active construction zone, having the opportunity to get closer to the coaster than the average park goer was an exciting experience for a coaster enthusiast like myself. I also appreciated that they held a Q&A as we were able to learn several interesting facts about the coaster prior to its 2025 opening. Jen's number 4 is the ambiance of the new Steel Yard at Dorney Park. The storyline of Iron Menace that's contained within the Steel Yard is meant to be spooky even when it isn't the Halloween season, and they bring that spooky ambiance throughout the entire area, from the old weathered buildings to the industrial music that plays all around to the bench that is literally a steel I-beam. You legitimately feel as though you're in a steel yard while walking through the area. The new sitting area is a much needed space within the park, and the sipping container bar is Jen's favorite addition. Nothing beats a good drink while watching Iron Menace. Number 4 on my list was opening day at Kings Island. My favorite park in the Legacy Cedar Fair family, I was excited to have the chance to be back for the first time since 2019. Plus, the park did something fun to commemorate the start of the 2024 season by giving away packs of trading cards to a certain number of people who rode the 4 coasters that celebrated anniversaries this year: the Beast, Invertigo, Banshee, and Diamondback. As a collector, I love that they did this, and I hope that they release Series 2 at the start of the 2025 season. Number 3 on Jen's list is Oktoberfest at King's Dominion. Although it was a brief and small event in terms of the area within the park's footprint, there was a lot packed into the area. With 3 different kiosks, each serving their own unique beer and food, to the stage where live Oompa music played, to the contests and games, it was easy to spend hours of your day just in that one spot. We're looking forward to seeing if King's Dominion will expand the event even larger next year. The 3rd spot on my list goes to our behind-the-scenes tour of Dorney Park, which included a special look at Iron Menace, which opened at the beginning of the season. Because the event happened in the off-season, we also had the opportunity to enter an area next to Hydra that's normally restricted, and got a closer look than we normally would have been able to. In addition, our tour guide took us into maintenance areas and into the control room for their Possessed coaster. Number 2 on Jen's list is an event that we didn't cover on our channel with the exception of a couple of shorts, and that is Halloween Horror Nights 33 at Universal Studios Orlando. If you're a fan of haunted events like we are, this is the premier one to visit. 10 houses, with 4 of them themed to major properties like Ghostbusters and Insidious, as well as 5 scare zones and an exciting performance known as Nightmare Fuel, in addition to an astounding amount of special, unique food options. The event spread throughout the entire park, and it's difficult not to find something to like. My second favorite experience in 2024 was having the opportunity to ride Scorpion at Busch Gardens Tampa on its last day of operation. Living fairly far to the north, it isn't easy for us to jump down to Florida for a special event, but thankfully we had already made plans to be at Busch Gardens Tampa for a single day, and that day happened to be the one that the park later chose to be Scorpion's last day after moving the date from a few days earlier. It was a crazy coincidence, and I'm thankful that things worked out in our favor. We had a great time that day. Before we get to Jen's favorite thing from 2024, she and I both agreed on an honorable mention, so I wanted to add that here. Heading back to Universal Studios Orlando, the honorable mention goes to the Epic Universe Preview Center. Housed in what used to be the Universal Legacy Store, the Preview Center for the new Epic Universe Park opening May 22nd of 2025 has merchandise from each of the 5 new themed lands around the edges of the building, but it also has a gigantic model in the center of the building showcasing the layout of the entire park, giving, as the name implies, a preview of what the park will look like once it opens in a few months. The model was incredible and so detailed, it even had an AR feature if you had the Epic Universe app on your phone. Okay, back to Jen's list. Her personal favorite thing that happened in 2024 was experiencing Air Force One at Fun Spot America Atlanta. The Rocky Mountain construction coaster located at this tiny park in Georgia packed a surprising punch. In the daytime, the park was light on attendance, so we had the opportunity to ride the coaster several times in both the front and the back. The Zero-G stall was one of the most exciting stalls that we've ever experienced, with a feeling in the back row falling out of your seat. The turnaround near the end as you gain speed and get thrown right into a barrel roll was an incredible element as well, and the quad bunny hops at the end were a fun way to get a lot of airtime before the coaster wrapped up. And finally, my number one favorite experience from this past year was the theme park Halloween events. Okay, I admit that's a bit of a cop-out because it's really broad, but Halloween events are always my favorite theme park activity, so this whole list would have just been Halloween related if I didn't combine them, and I didn't want that. So just to be a little more specific, here are 5 of my favorite parts within that category. First was Busch Gardens' new Clown Town haunted house. It was a long experience with a nice variety of rooms that had the most carnival feel of any clown-based haunted house I've ever been through. Second was visiting Hershey Park for their 3rd annual Dark Nights event and seeing how it improved from previous years. I'm looking forward to seeing it continue to improve as the event goes on. Third is the walk around Alfredo at Dorney Park. They made Alfredo merchandise in years past, but this is the first time they've had a full walk-around character, and it was incredible. I loved seeing that character. Fourth is still at Dorney Park, the Ghost in the Machine haunted house. It's based on the story of the Iron Menace coaster, and that house is my favorite outside of Halloween Horror Nights due to its length, with some incredible effects and great hiding places for the scare actors, just to name a couple of things to like about it. And speaking of Halloween Horror Nights, this year's 33rd edition was my absolute favorite thing. That's true every year. I'm a huge fan of Halloween Horror Nights, and Universal does it well every year. To me, it's the best Halloween event in existence. So that wraps up our look back at 2024. Let us know in the comments what kinds of great moments you had this past year. We'd love to hear about them. Now that we're finished looking back, let's look ahead to what's coming in 2025. This list will only include things that are confirmed to happen and not things that are still being speculated as of the recording of this video. For example, as I mentioned earlier, I'm looking forward to Series 2 of the Kings Island trading cards, but they haven't been confirmed, so they didn't make the list. This list will also include both things that we're looking forward to getting to experience personally and exciting things that are scheduled to happen next year in general, even if we don't plan to personally experience them. We'll begin with Jen's number 5, which is Beer Fest at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Unfortunately, Busch Gardens only has this event for about 2 or 3 weeks each year, and we missed it entirely in 2024, so Jen is looking forward to getting back there for 2025. The previous year's Beer Fests have had great varieties of drinks all over the park, and it will be nice to see what they add in the coming year. Lumped in with that, Jen is also looking forward to the 2025 edition of King's Dominion's Oktoberfest, but since that hasn't been officially announced, she wasn't ready to add it to the list. Moving on to my personal number 5 of 2025, I'm excited to see the finished expansion of the Jungle X area of King's Dominion. I'm not just talking about their new Raptera coaster, they're also retheming the Intimidator 305/Project 305 coaster into Pantherion and giving it a new paint job. We also just recently learned that they'll be incorporating Flight of Fear into the theming. They've given the building a new paint job, though we won't get to see the finished product until next year because a stage is currently blocking the entrance to the area. For Jen, her number 4 is the opening of the Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens. She didn't have the opportunity to ride the coaster's predecessor, but she's looking forward to trying out the new coaster. Despite just being a family coaster, she was very excited when the announcement was made, and it will be nice to finally see it finished so she can finally give it a try. Number 4 for me is something that will be happening across the entire 2025 season. This will be the first full season since Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the merger affects both the Legacy Cedar Fair and the Legacy Six Flags parks. I'm hoping things change for the better despite 2024 ending with some questionable decisions from both companies. We both share the same number 3, and that is the grand opening of Epic Universe. We mentioned it in the first half of the video, but it's very exciting to have a brand new theme park of this caliber open up. There will finally be a Super Nintendo Land on the east coast of the US, a third Harry Potter area, a How to Train Your Dragon area, and an area devoted to classic Universal monsters, as well as a huge central area with a couple of rides. The park will also be adding 4 new coasters to the Universal lineup, though I like to say 5 since Stardust Racers is a racing coaster and both tracks are different. I can't express enough how great it is to get our first major new theme park since Islands of Adventure opened in 1999, and the first where we have incredible construction coverage that we can follow closely. It's been fun to see it all come together, and it'll be fun to finally see guests walking those pathways. The number 2 item on Jen's list is visiting Canada's Wonderland for the first time since 2019 and checking out the new coaster Alpenfury. This looks like one of the best coasters that Premier Rides has ever done, with 7 inversions and a trip through Wonder Mountain. It's one of Jen's most anticipated new rides, and it doesn't hurt that Canada's Wonderland is also one of her favorite Legacy Cedar Fair parks. Along those same lines, my second most anticipated thing for 2025 is all of the new coasters that are opening next year. We personally plan to experience 6 of them, including the Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge, Reptera, the Flash Vertical Velocity, Siren's Curse, Wrath of Rakshasa, and Alpenfury. And that's not even mentioning the new coasters that are coming to Six Flags New England and over Georgia, Lost Island Theme Park in Iowa, and at least 2 coasters coming to Coda Land in Texas, just to name a few. Next year will be a great year for coasters. Jen and I share our number 1 thing that we're most excited for in 2025, but before we get to that, we also had a shared honorable mention, which is the reopening of Test Track at Epcot. The ride's currently undergoing a major refurbishment, which will see the theme change. How significantly we aren't sure, but Disney has said that it will pay homage to World of Motion, the attraction that was in that building prior to Test Track. Version 1 of Test Track was my favorite Disney attraction at the time. Then they changed it to something not quite as good, and now they'll be unveiling version 3 in 2025. We're hoping it does justice to both World of Motion and the original version of Test Track when it opens. And finally, our shared number 1 most anticipated event in 2025 is our first ever visit to Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. Holiday World is one of my personal bucket list parks, so I'm beyond excited to finally have the opportunity to check it out and see if the voyage actually is better than the Beast. And Jen's excited to meet Holidog and ride a coaster themed to Gravy. Not only that, but our trip to Holiday World will be for Hollywood Nights, a special event that sells out quickly. We were very fortunate to get our hands on a pair of tickets. We're hoping to cover it for the channel, and we hope you'll look forward to seeing it as much as we're looking forward to covering it. Let us know in the comments what fun things you have planned for 2025, or what you're most looking forward to experiencing. So we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, we would appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Also, please be sure to check out our Instagram page, which is appearing at the top of the screen. Right below that is our Threads handle. And at the bottom of the screen is our email address. Please feel free to email us any questions, comments, concerns, or constructive criticism. We read all of the emails and we appreciate any feedback that you give. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for watching, but the fun's not over yet. Click the box in front of my face for another fun video, or click my tree to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss another video.